We're here at Delaney'sCollegeFootball.com, and I hope you're having a good Turkey Day. Thank you for stopping by today to listen to our show. We got on the show today. We're going to talk about USC and Notre Dame, FSU in Florida, LSU in Arkansas, and Brian Kelly of the Notre Dame coach. We're going to start off with USC and Notre Dame first of all, and just talk about Max Wittek making his prediction about how USC is going to beat Notre Dame tomorrow. As you can see, we got Captain America there, and we got football, we got the Beatles, got a little mug from Dublin too. My friend Chad Sorensen went to Dublin one day, and 1 week actually, a couple weeks, and brought back this mug for me. We also have our Manti Te'o to root for Notre Dame, and it's very interesting that they're talking about how USC, or the quarterback from USC, is going to beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 11-0, and they've proven themselves this past year of victories over Stanford, Oklahoma, BYU. They beat Navy as well. Not a real tough schedule, but very competitive schedule. Competitive enough to get them to where they're at right now. If they do beat USC on Saturday afternoon in LA, they're off to the BCS championship to face Alabama. I got Alabama representing the other slot in the BCS. If Oregon wins on Saturday, then that's going to increase their stakes to go to be right up there, depending on who wins or loses in the up and coming weeks. If Alabama finishes out, I have Alabama going to the BCS national title. Once again, this year it won't be no SEC national title game. I don't really see Georgia winning out, and I don't know about Florida. Florida is real iffy. They are playing Florida State, but that's a tough game on the road. Florida State's number 10 in the nation right now, but it's very interesting position that they're in, because it seems like they're a better team than number 10. If they knock off Florida, then they'll definitely go up in the rankings in the BCS title game. If Notre Dame wins out, then they'll face Alabama in the BCS title game. That's for sure. But we'll see about that. Brian Kelly did a post-game show about pre-game show about USC this past week. He even talked about Matt Barkley and how he got injured, and how it's tough to go out like that and go down like that. And that he's a very fine quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, and he's got a great career ahead of him. We know that Matt Barkley is a great quarterback, and real class act too as well. As they get ready to go face Notre Dame. And I think Matt Barkley should be in the top 5 of the NFL draft next year. We got Nebraska against Iowa, Washington State against Washington. Now that should be interesting, since they passed that law about pot smoking. It's actually Colorado and Washington passed that law about recreational pot smoking. So hopefully that doesn't really affect the game. You got Georgia Tech against Georgia, Oregon against Oregon State. I got Oregon in that game, but that's going to be a very interesting game as well. Oklahoma against Oklahoma, Stanford against UCLA, and South Carolina against Clemson. The odds makers have NIU plays Illinois this weekend, and they're favored by 17 points over. Actually, they're playing Eastern Michigan. NIU is right up the road from where we live, in DeKalb, Illinois, and they're favored by 20. Northwestern plays Illinois, and they're favored by 17. You got Texas against TCU. Texas is favored by 8.5. Arizona against ASU. Arizona is favored by 3 points. LSU against travels on the road to Arkansas, and they're favored by 13.5. That's less than 2 touchdowns, if you can't count. Cincinnati is favored by 13 over USF. Don't hear too much about USF that much anymore. I know their program has kind of slid down the hill a little bit. Nebraska's traveling to Iowa. They're favored by 14.5. West Virginia is favored by a 1.5 over Iowa State, which they'll be on the road as well. And get this, Alabama's favored by 34 at home against Auburn in the Iron Bowl. That should be a very interesting matchup. And I know Auburn's going through some legal sanctions right now. They're being investigated. And a quote from Charles Barkley is, "I hope they didn't pay for anything for those players, the players that they have, as far as, you know, they're not doing real well this year." So I guess now if it was Cam Newton, that's a different story. But as we know, Cam Newton's not around anymore. I'm sure Auburn's going to regroup. They said that Gene Chizik is going to be out after the after the Alabama game. He's going to be toasted. But the program has just really went downhill with Auburn. Really, really, really downhill. You got Florida State against Florida. Florida State's favored by a touchdown. Ohio State, who's 11-0 right now, they're favored by 4.5 over Michigan. I believe that game is in the Big House. Actually, I think it's at Ohio State. Notre Dame's favored by 6.5 over USC. Oklahoma is favored by 9.5 over Ohio State. Oklahoma State. Oregon is favored by 13.5 over. Oregon is favored by 13 over Oregon State. And got something for the Notre Dame fans as they go up to USC, and they're gonna hopefully slash those Trojans. You know, get them good with the lifesaver, and go ahead and win this game and take it home. And then we got UCLA favored by 1.5 over Stanford. Now that should be a very emotional game for UCLA, especially coming off a win against USC in the Rose Bowl. They beat USC by 10 points, and so that's going to be a really emotional game. I think that game can go either way. I think Stanford's a good enough team to beat UCLA because after the win over Oregon. You got Texas A&M Johnny Football 16.5 over Missouri, and then as I said before, NIU Northern Illinois 20 points over Eastern Michigan. With LSU next year, I think they're going to do really well. I think Notre Dame is going to do really well next year as well. And but I guess we just need to talk about this year. We got my prediction is in the BCS finals we got Notre Dame and Alabama, and we're not going to spill any beans on who's going to win that game, not until up and coming years, but up and coming weeks, of course. But I got Alabama going to the championship game, and then when Notre Dame squeaks by USC, then they'll go face Alabama. It'd be like a good old bowl from back in the day. When Paul Bear Bryant was around and Horace Spargus was around as well. But I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that your football Memorial weekend and week is really good. And we're signing off from Delaney's College Football. Have